In movies nowadays, we often see examples of covert influence, and although those skills can be used for bad, they can also be used for good. In this video, therefore, you will learn 3 skills that will turn you into an advanced persuasion expert, and I trust that you will do the right things with that knowledge. The first big mistake I see in people who want to develop their skills with NLP language patterns, with hypnosis, covert hypnosis, all of that, is that they don't really have a clear outcome in mind. They think they have a clear outcome in mind. They think they know what they want, but they don't. And the lack of a clear outcome is, for example, if you don't have a clue about the emotional response you want to get from your listener. What will they look like once you have successfully influenced them? What will they look like? What will they sound like? How will their voice sound? What will they feel inside themselves? What will they tell to themselves? What else will change in their life context because of the change you have provided? Or in a more simple manner, what will they experience at the moment you have successfully influenced them? Another way I like to put that is, let's take the main response you want to get from your listener. So it is a client in therapy, you want them to change their life, stuff like that. Before that phase, what will they feel like? What will they look like once they are ready to experience that, to change that in their whole life? That state, that thing you will see from the outside, that experience, what would they need to believe inside their head in order to do that by themselves? If they were already right now, if it is in a coaching scenario, that person doesn't even need your help anymore because they are ready to change. What kind of belief would have to be inside their head so that they naturally get to that response? And from now, how can you communicate with that intent in mind, as if this belief that would help them, if it was a true belief. Completely true, impossible to deconstruct, to reframe that belief. How would you communicate with them then? If you had a complete assertiveness that they were believing into their change, that they were believing what you sell as a salesperson is the greatest product ever, if they had this conviction inside themselves, how would you communicate with them? And that will become the clear outcome in your mind. You want to make that thought so clear and vivid inside their mind that there is not even any resistance anymore because you are completely assertive yourself. The change will happen. The second big skill is to alter your internal state, or at least to be aware of your internal state. I don't count anymore how many people I see in a terrible, shitty, low, depressed state going through life, and then they say, nobody likes me, or like, oh, people are just stubborn and stuck and they don't want to listen. Maybe you can also change the state you are into when you go and talk to people around you. You may not be aware enough yet to realize that sometimes your state is putting people at ease and sometimes your state is getting people more defensive around you. Depends. Or sometimes, if you're not the one initiating your own internal states, you may just be a sponge and you may just absorb what people feel around you, and you will just end up feeling what people feel around you. So if you encounter a person who is depressed and low, feeling low and anxious, you will feel really bad and you don't even know why, but the interaction in that context ends up really bad, being really bad because both of you feel extremely bad. However, when you can alter, first of all, discover and become aware of how do you feel right now around this person, around that person, and alter your state by yourself, obviously anchoring will be of great help here, then you can change people's behaviors around you. I had an epiphany with that when I noticed some people I was seeing around me always complaining that no one is being nice to me these days. People are just negative. No one listens. And I am hearing that person talking, and I'm noticing how shitty of a state they are into at this point. And I'm like, well, if you feel like that whenever you communicate, no wonder people don't respond to you in a positive way either. Because you just trigger that response from them, or you just reinterpret, rephrase, and reframe what you see around you as being sad and negative because you feel sad and negative. So I know it is always easier to blame other people rather than working on yourself, but I just noticed your state will trigger reactions in others much more than your words alone. I had published a small manual for free on my website. You can just check that if you want, link down below. It will just show you how your states affect the people around you and how the ideas you have for how to live your life or how to get past this problem, all the things you think are impossible to change right now, they will become clear and easier to solve once you learn how to change your internal state. The greatest masters of persuasion can always alter their state automatically before they want or as they want to influence somebody else. If you try to pour from an empty container, it will just not work. If you don't have anything to pour from, you can't help others and change others. If you can change your own state first, submodalities encoding all of this NLP technology, then you can make others' state change in turn. And the third one is, coming back to an old problem we all know of, people don't listen to each other enough. That may be true for others, but that can also be true for you. Again, it's not always only the fault of other people. Sometimes it is also you who is at fault. I know you are perfect, you are a perfect human being. Sometimes maybe you are also at fault eventually. The third big skill is to dig deep enough into other people's thoughts, intuitions and feelings, ideas and reluctance. One day I just shown to somebody else some slide of mouth I used to do with myself, writing down a negative thought I had and reframing, debunking that thought step by step, line after line, and really digging deep into why do I believe that. I showed that script or that series of lines to somebody who was just beginning into NLP, and he said, "Holy crap, I never go that deep with myself." Whereas for me, that thing I was showing was the basic level of going deep into understanding what is behind deeper that limitation. It is never just about I don't like this person or I feel sad. There's always something beyond that is not clearly outlined on the first thought you have. So whenever you notice somebody is being reluctant to what you're proposing, whether you want to sell something or to convince somebody they can change this or that about themselves, about their life, and you notice some reluctance, they are just not receptive, not responsive, something is like blocking, they just don't want to agree with you or at least try to eventually imagine what it could be if they were acting upon the thing you suggest they could act upon. If that is happening to you, just notice why do they think this way? What led them in the past to believe or feel that way? What happened to them in the past that could have been leading them to feel this way today with you right now? What happened? If you have no clear idea of what happened to them, you may just try to hit a wall, because you will try to reframe objections, but you will not reframe the right objections. You will reframe the surface objections and not what is hidden below that, the nasty shit they don't want you to see, but which is the reason why they resist initially. And what's missing for them to naturally give you the response you would like to get from them. If it is something you want to sell and the person is perfectly qualified, it is the perfect customer, they have the background, they have the funding to buy what you sell, they have everything, but they don't. If that is the case, right person, right client, enough money but don't buy, then slow down, pause and notice what specifically is getting them so unsure. Maybe they have been scammed in the past, maybe they have seen somebody who looks like you, and even if it was not you, just because you look the same way, they feel reluctant. That may happen sometimes, not everyone is a very thoughtful thinker. Sometimes people just make rapid conclusions out of nowhere. you need to investigate that. Why specifically do they resist? What happened to them that caused them to be reluctant, resistant, negative, pessimistic? What happened in their life? And once you clarify that, then you can reframe objections, use a slide of mouth, all of those things. Then yes, not before. First, elaborate. What happened to you in a non-confrontational behavior, just questioning as a friend or perceived as a friend. Can you tell me about your background, what happened to you, your backstory? And from there, elaborate what would be the best way to persuade that person with what I know of them at my disposal. If you want to better clarify how can you develop your skills with that, there is a document down below called The 7 Steps to Master Sleight of Mouth. You can just notice what in your communication can be changed, altered, so that people simply believe in what you say much more, and you can notice which limiting beliefs are getting them stuck and how to reframe or change or heal sometimes all of those things so that you make the world a better place or at least just get some more positive reactions around you with the few people you interact with every day. That will already be a pretty great outcome for you, I guess. And with that being said, see you in the next video. Thank you for listening.